Okay, good morning. Lesson 214, work with Course in Miracles. And as I was sitting here with this lesson, the lesson sort of became a fountain in a sense, and I don't know how else to speak of this right now. I see this lesson as a fountain from which life springs. As a matter of fact, lesson 214, I'm not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I place the future in the hands of God. The past is gone. That's easy for you to get. That's it. It's easy for you to get as an idea. The problem you have with the experience is you carry the past with you because you refuse to accept this lesson, and maybe today you will. And of course you couldn't be responsible for the non-acceptance of this lesson in this form until it was given to you in this form. But it's true, I'm still looking at this in this vision of this lesson as offering us a fountain, the ability to be that fountain and live from the center of that fountain from which life flows, because the past is gone, the future is not yet, and now we're in a condition of now. We're right here, you're right here with me. And whatever the past presented and continues to present, the outcome, it does not have to be limited. And this is primarily what A Course in Miracles is teaching. Just because you hold the idea of a past in your mind and all the consequences from the occurrences that have taken place and in which you're still fully responsible, let's say, okay? The outcome and the consequences, as you consider them, are only limited to the thinking within the association of your own mind. They exclude an entirely different outcome. They exclude the outcome that could occur if you included the mind of God in as part of the event, let's call it. And that's what this is saying. So the experience, and you will pursue it. Now this is the interesting. Oh my God! If I could only, I wish I could teach this in a way that was coherent in a sense. Okay, the reason why the reason why your life is the way it is in a particular sense is because you carry the past with you wherever you go. And you anticipate consequences from past action in the future. And an attempt to mitigate the consequences in the future, you use your mind in a particular way now that limits the outcome that can take place in the future based on your attempt to mitigate it in its consequences later. And when you free it in your mind, when you free a problem or the past, when you free the past in your mind from the consequences that you've been carrying in your association with yourself, and you put energy into the fact that they're going to happen in a particular way, so you proceed a particular way and validate the thinking. Your own thinking is true, therefore limiting the effects that you can get to your own thinking. Now, if you would just let that go for a second and let God into the equation, an entirely different outcome can occur that can solve all your problems and present resolution to everything in the past that has zero to do with the resolution, with the form of the resolution that you thought needed to occur in order for you to be happy and feel successful in the endeavor. Now, so we're going to free the past from all of that. And since the future is not yet, The future is no longer bound by the past because we've freed it. Now, being freed from both, we can allow everything else in the universe into the equation. And because we're the maker, we're the projector of the illusion, the experience of allowing what God gives to be included in that space that we leave free allows life to flow from it in a manner by which could never have occurred had we utilized the past as our guide. But if we can maintain, if we stay in, because it works like this whether we are aware of it or not, yet being aware of it, we can maintain our constant contact with our higher power, with God, and allow that to be a factoring within us and factor space and time in an entirely different way that actually frees us from the tension of our own past and allows a constant rejuvenation and a renewing and a refreshing. There's a constant renewing taking place in everything that we're doing, for what God gives can only be for good. And because we're all utilizing, ultimately, the good in my mind and the good in your mind is the same. Now, I'm not talking about the form of the good. I'm talking about the idea of good. So therefore we share good because we share the mind of God. So if we all go into what's good and seek solution in the goodness that God shares with us, that which springs forth from this fountain and is made manifest cannot not solve the problem or be good for the entirety of the sonship that's involved. Because it's the ultimate source that everyone's using in order to make manifest the good within themselves, and yet they think they're in adversarial relationships with their brother, so therefore they think that the good that they could experience is prohibited based on things outside themselves. Now, if we all go within ourselves and find that good, and we begin to utilize that good, the form that the good takes cannot not also contribute to the form that the goodness takes for your brother and your neighbor. So there will be no conflict because we're all using the same whole perfect mind. And I accept but what he gives me as what belongs to me. Now, if he's giving the same good to all of us, there's no competition within the good. Nor would there be competition within the expression. Neither. For there is no lack and no comparison. And now, even in the manifestation of the form that takes place, and the one thing I would add to this lesson, it's beautiful when you look at it, the way this works. And this is how the salvation, it's almost like a fireworks display. It's a fountain of fireworks. It's a fireworks display, and everything is exploding in praise of what God gives us. And the explosions are an expression of that goodness that all can appreciate and recognize because they're all coming from the same source. And it's presenting us back with the reflection of the love that we were created to be. So now, if even within the reflection where we're seeing reality, there would no longer be the idea of blame or holding somebody else responsible. Do you understand that? Judgment. You wouldn't be judging your brother. Your brother wouldn't be judging you because there'd be no possibility of that judgment. I don't know how I got here with this lesson, but I'm not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. And I'm going to place the future in the hands of God. I'm going to go back to something that I said the other day, because people, I'm going to tell you something. And it's not because I'm advocating a particular way. This is just the way it was for me because of the thickness of my skull. Let's put it that way. and the addictive nature that I took to any lengths. Obviously, to me, I needed a rigid discipline at first in order to come to an understanding, in order to change my mind, because I had dedicated myself so long, and with and was willing to go to any lengths with the energy that I had in order to, in order to do what I wanted to do. And that was, at the point in time when I had the revelation of God, that had to do with drug addiction. So I pursued this in the same way, and I needed the same sort of discipline. I needed like a drill sergeant. And Jesus, and the master teacher, the old man, they were the universe's response to my need for a rigid discipline, brought to me by brothers who understood the problem and could see clearly the solution, and help me understand what was at stake in that sense. And so for me, the idea that I placed the future in the hands of God became a discipline, and still is. And for me, what went along is the idea of forgetting the form. I mean, this is what I was going to talk about. I had said this before, and it proved to be helpful for some people because it's entirely true. The way in which this works for me is, okay, I'm not a body, I'm free. So I'm not, and I've had enough experiences, and most of you have had too, and maybe it's coming into a combination where we begin, much unbeknownst to us, to act in unison because we are already joined, and no matter what the form seems to look like or what seems to present us with the opportunity to do this, it no longer matters because we're all utilizing the same action of forgiveness. And if that is true, then the celestial speed up could possibly come into play right here and right now, and has been, because of the nature of what's been taking place in all of us. So for me, I needed a discipline. So to me, I'm not a body, I'm free, for I'm still as God created me. Okay, that means no matter what the situation is, once I remember that, then the form association that seems to be offering me the condition in which a decision needs to be made makes no difference whatsoever. Because the decision that I make is still within me, and the decision that I make, as I was saying earlier, does not have to be confined to the form that's presented me doesn't have to be confined to what seems to be within the evidence of the form, the evidence the form is presented to me that is requiring me to make a decision. And that could be, everything in the world could be screaming at you, you must decide, and demanding a decision be made under terms of the judgments they're holding you in, or you are holding other people in, if that makes any sense. Because that's what we're all doing. We all hold each other in terms of judgment. And it doesn't matter what that judgment is, that's the nature of our relationships. And it doesn't matter what the form seems to look like, or our minds are doing the same thing, okay? So now, it doesn't matter. So now, if you're in the, it doesn't matter what situation you find yourself in, because you could do it right here and right now. And that's why these lessons are so important, because you can start right here, right now, because the form in which it's being offered to you makes no difference if all the form is an illusion. Let's put it that way, okay? So now, right here, right now, because I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am not confined to the thoughts that seem to bear witness to the form association that we're presented with right here, right now. Okay? And while it can present us with limitations, present us with limited outcomes, present us with limited decisions, it cannot determine that because I am a body, I am free, I'm still as God created me. There's something within me that's offering me more than limitation. So I'm going to place the future in the hands of God right here and right now. I'm going to stop, no matter what the form association that it seems to be presenting, no matter what it looks like around me, outside of me, and including the body that I seem to be inhabiting. Because it's the mind that's training and the heart that's showing us. I can place the future in the hands of God. And notice, if you withdraw all that, it wouldn't matter what condition you were in or what type of body you were utilizing. If you begin to trust that we're all from a single source, all those aliens that you think are out there are operating against you, you would have to come to the conclusion that they're all operating exactly as you are operating, for the same reason you are operating that way, and they all must respond because they cannot be using a different mind because they couldn't have a different creator. There's only one creator, that's God, right? Okay. Even if there is aliens, and I'm not saying there is or there isn't, I don't care about that. I'm just saying, if you looked at the form association, if you found yourself, if you woke up one day and you were an alien and your mind was strange, you still would be using this as a lesson. I don't know if that's understandable. It's because we're all the same fundamentally. There's only one source, and we're all part of one source, a single source. Okay, so I'm going to place the future in the hands of God, right here, right now. And I can do that because I am not a body, I am free. I am still as God created. Now, it doesn't matter, you have to admit the past is gone. You can hold it in your mind and think that there was a real past, but you cannot make it what it isn't because it's gone, okay? So it's held in memory in your mind and all the minds that seem to exist in separation. There's a projected imagery out there, and the projected imagery of what's being held in mind, not what's gone. Now the future is going to be is going to be the projected imagery in that sense of what's not gone. Okay, but if in our minds we go to God, where there is no past, there's only eternity. There's only eternity, eternal, the infinite, the abundance of the continuum. What is given to us and when we do that is entirely different than when we reference the past and get what we're being given in this moment now from the past. Okay, now the future must bear witness to the truth of where we went to in our hearts or minds because we've included God in the equation. What we have to extract from the equation in order for you to see the solution in the way I'm seeing the solution is judgment. And I'm going to offer you a way in this particular situation to remove judgment from your mind, and that's patience. Patience in the ability for space and time to begin to make manifest the solution that you've discovered in your mind in the projected imagery it's around you. Because remember, the projected imagery is still what space and time is, and it takes time and space to make manifestation true to the nature of your mind. Because your mind is operating instantaneously within the unity and understanding and recognition of eternity and infinity, which is why reality, as you create with God, is unlike this in every way. Now, when you go there in your mind and replace the unconscious projection of the world of space and time with the conscious decision and contact with God, things must begin to change in the projected imagery. And they change and begin to reflect back that which the gift that we got from our Father in that moment when we placed the future in His hands. Now I'm telling you, because I know you want this to be true, because I do, and together we can join and make it true. I know we can live within that moment of placing the future in the hands of God, and always be placing the future in the hands of God, and only be seeing that which is godly reflected around us, So we no longer live in a conclusion. We no longer looking for conclusions in the reflection, but we're looking and seeing completion unfold in the manifestation. Because you remove time as an element from your mind. So there's no longer endings. It's constant new beginnings. There's no longer a conclusion to life. There's a constant manifestation of the renewal of life that is taking place in your mind and your heart. And in that, when you have included God, you've included everything. There is completion. So you're a constant manifestation or offering to your brothers of the ability for each situation to offer completion for the whole of the wholeness. It's of everyone, rather than a conclusion or an ending to an old, which verifies space and time as real. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I'm looking at in this lesson. I like what I'm seeing, and I like and enjoy the idea that I can present it to you in a way in which I know somewhere inside of you you're hearing and you're like it. There's an excitation that's taking place. It's a good thing. And I accept but what he gives me as what belongs to me. Therefore, I no longer need anything in this world as I do this, because we're in a renewal of heart, mind, and spirit. It's a new, in sense, new earth. I totally got it right here. It's a new heaven in our mind because we let go of the old heaven based on our old ideas of what God is and religion. So we have a new heaven that we're experiencing in our minds and our hearts, which brings forth a new earth in response to the need for us to get the result of our thinking and the manifestation we see around us. So you go ahead and have a good Sunday.